lot of my viewers have asked about my helmet. I think now is a good time to break it down. So my helmet has evolved over the years. For a fighter pilot, or in my case a Growler pilot, it's common to get your helmet changed, or the decals on your helmet changed, every time you show up to a new squadron. Now Navy regulations say that your helmet has to be at least 75% white. So the helmet, people think there's cracks in it, but there's actually not any cracks at all in my helmet. What it is, it's a hard helmet. It looks a lot like a motorcycle helmet. And the outside is covered with strips, consecutive strips of white reflective tape. My helmet's got a couple things on it at this time, and it's since changed if you've seen my newer T45 videos. At the time I had the lightning bolts on from when I was a Yellow Jacket in VAQ 138. You'll see those on the top. On the back you'll see my call sign panel. You'll see the Cougar.
This one's live right now. I'm gonna watch this one for a second.
On the right hand side, the Cougar was when
I'm just gonna watch this for a second. I want to go back and actually rewatch that one.
I was flying with the VAQ squadron.
These are programmed drones. They're not gonna, chase the helicopter to hit the. It's not the way that the drone is working. That's why I think that wasn't the case. I don't know if it was. That could be some sort of accident, because there is a huge sort of movement of drones in the region, and we have Apache helicopter. That could be an accident, but sending a is not. They have survived the accident. 2 or 3 attacks on the Syria island in the Persian Gulf. We had the 2 attacks on Bandar Abbas, the city close to the Persian Gulf, and that was the outcome of the American attack on Iran. They tried to hit the petrochemical plant in Asaluye, which the cruise missiles that they used to hit the target, they were intercepted by Iranian air defense system, which was a new sort of improvement that showed, because we were talking about how Iranian air defense system was improved during the ceasefire, this so-called ceasefire, but they have shown that how they're capable right now. And all these attacks, remember, Israeli attack on Iran and American attack, later on American attack on Iran, they used the fighter jets out, far away from the Iranian borders. Stay far away from Iranian borders and hit the targets from outside of Iranian airspace. They didn't get close to the Iranian airspace. If I'm not mistaken, there was one fighter jet trying to invade the Iranian airspace, which was, forced out by Iranian air defense system. That was the whole story. Then came the Iranian response. Iran hit targets in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan. And every time I want to say Jordan, because in Persian we call it Jordan, in English we call it Jordan. And here is the targets. One of them was in Kuwait. If you see that, this is a refueling, getting back to the target. Here is one of the targets of Iranian attack on Kuwait, which was this target was a fuel bladders, or they call it storage for aircraft fuel. It's a newly built hangar in Bahrain. I said Kuwait, in Bahrain, in ISA airbase in Bahrain, and this building was built in 2025 and was destroyed in the latest Iranian attack on Bahrain. Then later on, we have new footages coming out of Iran and showing particularly the targets of Iranian attacks. This is in Bahrain. One of the latest radars in Bahrain is the early warning radar in Bahrain that was destroyed by Iranian attack. And this is the other one in Bahrain. Those building, there's a storage of fuel, jet fuels that were used by the United States during these attacks. Because every time Israel is trying to attack Iran, they're not going to be able without the help of the United States. You have to keep that in our mind, because of the distance. When the fighter jets are coming toward Iran, they have to refuel. During because the distance is considerable. So they have to refuel on their way to Iran and on the way back to Israel. So Iran has hit these two important buildings in Sheikh Isa in Bahrain, American base. And then the other target was in Kuwait. This is again an early warning radar in Kuwait was hit in Ali Al Salem Air Base, and as you see the photo on the left and on the right, see the building was totally destroyed. And this was the story. But the problem right now for Iran, in my opinion, is if they back down. Because before coming to this live, we've learned from the media, channel 12 and channel 14 in Israel. They're talking about the Trump administration trying to put a lot of pressure on Iranians not to respond to Israeli attack. Because as Donald Trump said, nobody was killed, nobody was injured, so nothing has happened. Let's come down and not respond to Israeli attack on Beirut. That's impossible. That's not going to happen, in my opinion. And what is happening? Iran is gonna attack the northern part of Israel in response to what Israel was doing. As we talk today, there is a Qatari delegation in Iran trying to bridge the gaps, the final moments, the details. There's some details that they're working on, it seems. Both sides, Iranians and Americans, are working on. But imagine, this day, you have an Israeli attack on Dahiya. What does that mean? It means that Donald Trump doesn't have the power that he tries to brag about every time. He doesn't have any sort of leverage. He doesn't have any sort of power to show to the world that he's running the show. No, Donald Trump is not running the show, in my opinion. And his influence and his administration is dominated by Israelis who are supporting Israel. First Israel, second the United States. I don't know if they have the United States as a second option, maybe some other aims of Israel. But Netanyahu he has shown that who's running the show. He doesn't care about the United States. That's why, your ally is Israel, but you're begging Iran not to respond to Israeli attack. That's so weak. If your ally doesn't care about what you're talking about, how you can expect that your declared enemy, your so-called enemy, gonna abide by what you're asking for? This is not happening. And Iran gonna respond. Iran gonna hit the targets. Iran is gonna hit the northern part of Israel. I don't know if they're gonna hit some targets in the central or the southern part of Israel. But we have to understand that the situation is so critical right now. Israel is doing everything to destroy any sort of opportunity between Iran and the United States to achieve some sort of deal. That's the reality. I'm not optimistic about the deal at all, because I don't see anything coming out of the deal. But just having the concept, having just this sort of two sides coming together, signing something electronically, or which I don't know if that means anything these days. And the negotiations, remember what was the negotiation? Negotiation all about two sides talking to each other, not directly. Through Qatari government, through the government in Pakistan. This is the whole problem. Because when you want to reach a deal, you have to negotiate directly. And that didn't happen. Because the United States is not prepared. Donald Trump is preparing his way out of the region. He's not trying to make a deal with any sort of, long-term strategy in the Middle East. Today, what he posted that calm down. We are on this. We're going to put an end to the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, and this is going to be a beautiful future for the Middle East and peace, prosperity. These are huge lies. Dude, on the same day that you're trying to make a deal, Israel is attacking Dahiya, not only die. In the southern part of Lebanon, they're destroying everything. Just look at the footages that are coming out of Lebanon today. They're hitting the targets, they're hitting buildings, destroying everything. This is the reality that Iran is facing, that the acts of resistance is facing. Are they gonna back down? I don't see that happening. Because after all, what does that mean? A deal. What would be the benefit for Iran out of this deal? Are they gonna get their frozen assets? The most important point, in my opinion, is to put an end to the war between Israel and Lebanon. And Israel has to withdraw totally from Lebanon. Without achieving that, you're not going to get any sort of deal in the region. Okay, Israel is going to do the same thing as they did in the West Bank and in Gaza. That's why they're arguing, little by little, you go, destroy, and there is nothing there. Nobody's living on that land. And you say, now the new chapter is coming. Now the annexation is coming. They want to annex the southern part of Lebanon. That's part of the greater Israel. And I think that's the main reason that nobody should believe that any sort of agreement would happen between Iran and the United States. As Iran keeps saying, the first point is putting an end to the war on all fronts. And nothing is happening on considering that point. But Donald Trump is trying to trick Iranians, in my opinion, with this deal. He says that, let's do it. If you're serious in doing such a thing or making a deal with Iranians, how come you understand these attacks on Lebanon? How do you understand that? How come you're not putting pressure on Israel? Netanyahu doesn't care about whether you, because Netanyahu sees this is right now. I don't know if you saw the latest post of Yair Lapid, who's the guy is the alternative for Netanyahu and his administration. He put out he posted a sort of long text on X. What he's talking about, he says various points. He says we still need to hope that the reports about the agreement with Iran are not true. He's talking about the agreement between Iran and the United States. But if they are, this is one of the most shocking failures of Israel's foreign and security policy. And it's all about Benjamin Netanyahu and his weakness if they achieve that. The points that he's mentioning in this post that he sold the Americans an overly optimistic script without detailing the risk map of them and lost their trust in the middle of the war. He's basically saying that the Israeli government is not putting pressure on the United States. Netanyahu is not doing that the proper way. I don't know what else can they do. They're doing everything. The United States is just... Look at the United States today. Remember the Biden administration. Many people were somehow laughing at the administration. They're doing nothing. They're sending bombs. They're giving Israel everything. They did that. They did all of, they sent the bombs. They sent drones. They sent everything to Israel. Interceptors, name it, everything. They supported Israel under attack in Gaza, in the West Bank, and they destroyed everything.
I'm going to write that down.
So coming back right now, what is the difference between the Biden administration and the Trump administration? The Trump administration is going beyond that. They crossed each and every line. Those red lines, they don't exist anymore. They're attacking. The attacks on Iran, the attacks on Lebanon, said to the Litani River, no, let's cross the Litani River, let's go to the Beirut, let's go to Dahia and hit. These are escalations that are happening at the same day that he's trying to sign an agreement. This is ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. I don't see, and Israel doesn't want that. Looking at Benjamin Netanyahu, it doesn't matter if Benjamin Netanyahu is in power or someone like Yair Lapid or Naftali Bennett. These are all the same sort of mindsets. One of them is saying that, maybe they may differ when it comes to the domestic policy in Israel, but when it comes to the foreign policy, they're all the same. Nothing matter to them when it comes to destroying Gaza, Lebanon, the attack on Iran. The problem is right now that Iran has changed the whole calculation in the Middle East. And the calculation right now is not going to be defined. The new equation I think Iran has to respond and will respond to the Israeli attack. There is no way to show that you're serious in the way that you're talking about Lebanon, you're talking about the acts of resistance, you're talking about Gaza. So that's gonna be the calculation on the part of Iranians. But when it comes to the deal, there's still a lot of important points for Iranians to be considered. One of them is the Strait of Hormuz. What would be the future of the Strait of Hormuz? Iran just said they're gonna control it. Donald Trump said there would be no toll or something like that, no toll gonna be charged. But Iran's point, Iranian foreign minister said the same thing. And that the toll system is against the international law. We're gonna charge the countries who are using the Strait of Hormuz with a new system, service fee or something like that, an administrative fee or an environmental fee, something like that. But they're gonna control the Strait of Hormuz. It seems, based on what the Iranian foreign minister said on Iranian state media, he said that it's gonna be together with the Omani government. They're all together. And remember, the Strait of Hormuz is something like 22.5 or 24.5 wide, and then you look at 12.5 and 12.5 based on international law. You have you have your own territory. When it comes to the sea, it's going to be 12.5 kilometers and 12.5 kilometers from Oman. They're going to overlap. There is no international waters when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. So basically, two countries, Iran and Oman, going to manage the Strait of Hormuz. So the other countries may come to some sort of agreement with these two countries, Iran and Oman, and there may have some sort of talks amongst themselves. This is the plan on the part of Iranians. And the United States is not going to be part of the Strait of Hormuz. They're not going to be part of the discussions. Not the United States nor Israel, because I don't see anybody seeing Israel today as it was before this war started. The Israeli picture has been shadowed and destroyed. You remember before the attack on Iran, everybody was saying, this is one of the, after the United States, they have the best fighter jets, they have the best air force, and they're gonna do this and that. Iran is nothing. Compare the military budget on the part of Iranians and look at what Israel has, what the United States is bringing to the region. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. And the impunity of Israel, in attacking other countries and destroying buildings and killing people, those days are gone as well. And Iran has to show that. Iran has shown that. And I think the new attack, it comes in the coming hours, I think you're going to see an Iranian attack, and that's the whole calculation of the region. Donald Trump, if he's serious, he has to do something about Israel. There is no way to achieve any sort of agreement without achieving a deal, without bringing back Israel to the cage, put Israel back into the cage. Is that possible for the United States? No. I don't see that happening. Maybe I'm too negative about Israel, but the only reason that I'm saying this, look at the behavior of Israel. It's getting more hawkish. They're attacking more and more instead of backing down. Every time Donald Trump says Israel has to do this and has to do that, and we are doing this because of Israel, just assume all of this is happening because of Israel. And the United States came into this war, attacked Iran because of Israel. They destroyed the economy of GCC countries because of Israel. They killed many Iranian civilians. 3,500, mostly civilians, were killed because of Israel. They're attacking the water tanks in the southern part of Iran because of Israel. Did Iran respond in a proper way? Did Iran hit desalination plants in GCC countries and Israel? No, Iran didn't do that. They didn't. Iran responded to attack on the energy infrastructures in Iran the same way. They attacked energy infrastructures in Qatar, in UAE, and other GCC countries, Bahrain, Kuwait, call it. But they didn't attack desalination plants. That's why I think they're responding. Iran has in my opinion so far, what my assessment is, they have a totally comprehensive strategy when it comes to the response and the way that they retaliate against the Israeli and American attacks on Iran and on Lebanon. It's not just about Iran anymore. It's about Lebanon as well. It's about Gaza. It's about Palestinians. Because Israel, what Israel sees in the eyes of Israel, if they back down from Lebanon, they're going to be forced out from Gaza and from the West. This is the way that Israel sees the case. Because that is a huge defeat for Israel. I think the war has been a huge strategic and economic defeat, and geopolitically, looking at the situation in the Middle East, that was a huge defeat for Israel. Just looking, you may ask yourself, why does Israel, if they're attacking in the southern part of Lebanon and they're destroying cities, and these are important, by the way, cities in the southern part of Lebanon. It's so far, Iran said the southern part of Lebanon is going to be part of the deal. But the red line, as I understand it, it was Beirut and Dahi. If you attack Dahi and Beirut, we're going to respond. But in the southern part of Lebanon, there is some sort of perception on the part of the Axis of Resistance that Hezbollah can handle that or can defeat Israel in the southern part of Lebanon. That's why they're not going that far to attack Israel by any sort of attack in the southern. I'm talking about Iran attacking Israel because of the southern, what's going on in the southern part of Lebanon. So Israel is not capable of defeating Hezbollah. That's why they need to escalate it. They need to put a lot of pressure on civilian, on the society in Lebanon. They have to do this. When you're losing, you do this. If you're willing, just the same thing is happening in Ukraine. Remember, Ukraine is not winning on the battlefield. That's why they need to escalate. They need to send these drones to hit civilians in Russia, deep inside Russia. But if you're capable of using those drones, use those drones on the battlefield. The same thing is happening with Israel. Israel, the only reason they're attacking Dahi and Beirut because they're experiencing huge losses in the southern part of Lebanon. Just, I don't know if you saw yesterday, there is a footage coming, there is a footage of Israeli drone. Here is the footage. And looking at this drone is a Hezbollah just, yesterday I uploaded the footage showing the downing of an Israeli Heron 1 male drone at an altitude of 7 kilometers with an advanced Iranian, surface-to-air missile. And the this is the capability of Hezbollah. As time goes by, they're getting better. The use of drones, the use of rockets, ambushes in the southern part of Lebanon, they're getting better and better. They're getting more experience, and this experience is putting them in a better position. And you see how they're capable of hitting these drones. These are huge. These are expensive drones for Israel. Just before this happening, we had the Hezbollah attack on Merkava tanks, huge. Looking at the picture, this is the picture that was mentioned by, Hezbollah, and this photo came out of Lebanon showing that Hezbollah ambushed advanced column of Israeli tanks, blowing at least 2 Merkava tanks. So far, if I'm not mistaken, more than 300 Merkava tanks were destroyed in the last 5-6 weeks. These are huge losses for Israel. Looking at not only Merkava tanks, putting together with the batteries of the air defense systems, Iron Dome, and the communication system. Look at the casualties, how the casualties on the part of the Israeli soldiers is just increasing. These are huge losses for Israel. They have never experienced this before. This is the new reality in the southern part of Lebanon. And that's why they have to do this. That's why they have to escalate. And they see if the United States does something, make some sort of deal with Iran, their position gonna weaken, and weaken more, as Yair Lapid said, the Israeli position. So coming back to the deal between Iran and the United States, 2 important points. The Strait of Hormuz will remain under the control of Iran. Donald Trump cannot do anything about it, and it's going to be together with Omani government. The case of Lebanon is the most critical case in that deal, which I don't see happening. That's why I don't see the deal being signed by the 2 sides, as Israel is trying to, to attack Lebanon and crossing those red lines. And let's see with the Iranian attack on Israel, with the response from the acts of resistance. My understanding is going to be Iran attacking Israel. Maybe Yemen going to do the same thing. Yemen going to respond to Israel. This is the assessment so far. Let's see what is the perception on the part of Iranians. And the other point with the case of the Iranian deal, Iranian-American deal, as they call it, the so-called deal, is the frozen Iranian assets. We've learned that the moment that Iran signs the deal, they're gonna release the Iranian frozen assets, something like $12.5 billion, because they have frozen something like $25 billion Iranian frozen assets, and it's gonna be released by the government in Bahrain. As I said before, Bahrainis are right now, the people from Bahrain, from the Bahraini government, are in Tehran right now, talking with Iranians. Let's see the Iranian attack, the Iranian response or retaliation on Israel. How is that going to change the situation? I assume that Donald Trump, in aftermath of the attack, Donald Trump comes out and says,
I don't know why that froze it. I don't know. Hold on.
So you attack Lebanon, Iran attack you, so we're done with the attack and coming back.
Right, so someone was listening in. They heard him say something about a so-called deal and the Iranians and stuff like that. So they said to me, look up Southern California and Iranian stuff. Where'd you get Southern California? They said it's just something they're not saying that's what he meant by it, just in their mind when they hear so-called. It's Southern California. So-called Cali. Yeah, it used to be a joke we make, and that's, I'm pretty sure, I remember back in the day, and then they made the cartoon Sheriff Cali stuff. Yeah, remember she races the train with the fucking horse. I know. You can't make this stuff up. Well, I'm sorry. Excuse my language. It just comes out like the word the sometimes. It was built in long ago. I apologize. Recent connections between Southern California and Iranian interests primarily involve significant geopolitical and cybersecurity tensions, as well as the region's large Iranian American community. I know, isn't that funny? Like, he probably wasn't insinuating that at all, but they just heard so-called deal with the Iranians. And to them, so-called has always meant Southern California. Yeah, we used to make jokes about it. We used to say so-called Cali for years. And then Sheriff Cali came out. And when they did the train race with the horse, the horse not being able to keep up with the train no matter how fast it ran. Unless someone fucks with the train or throws a hatchet on the tracks or something. I'm just kidding. Hey, where'd that part of the track go? The sweepers came through. That's funny. Anyway, it's not really when you think about it. Cyber attacks on infrastructure. Iran linked hacker groups such as Handala. I know you spent some time investigating those streams for quite a while. It led to some darker things you didn't really want to know about. Yeah, it's those ones. You can't do anything about it. You're not negotiating. They're not pulling over. You can't prove it in court, and you'd rather... Yeah, you wish you just didn't know, and you want to sew your mouth shut. Isn't it awful? It makes a lot of people feel that way. It's like sickening. It makes you, you're just helpless. Yeah, nobody likes that feeling, so we try to really preach those classes of not putting that on yourself. Yeah, it's difficult, because the thing, it will go back and it'll, how did I miss that? You know, what could you have done differently, or this or that? And you just don't do it to yourself. It's love and forgiveness, and anyone who doesn't love and forgive you and is saying otherwise, they got some growing to do, maybe. Have I called you personally that? Okay, so you're a child fucker, or protecting the child fuckers knowingly? Well, if unknowingly, I haven't called you those names. If blindly, I mean moron. There's a lot of names I've called you, but not that. Yeah, you're definitely not a child fucker, right? You're not fucking the kids, and you're not knowingly protecting. Right, and you're also not turning your head and just pretending like it's not real, even though all the facts are pointing in that direction. You'd just rather not do that because, not good for the business. Huh? Right, thank you. Thank you for being a rational person. Yeah, so Handala, they've claimed or launched cyber attack breaches targeting critical networks, including California municipal water systems and the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Security experts indicate these are often linked to retaliation during U.S.-Iran geopolitical conflicts. Right, and oftentimes a lot of the American druggies and people get immigrants in that area, just like over here throughout the decades, right? They get the Mexicans or Pakistanis or whatever to be part of their grow operations or crash courses. As you can see, it's been pretty bad. Right, and that doesn't mean, as anything, there's 99.9%, the immigrants are people, they're good people. They don't want to cause any problems, and they're very appreciative. Unfortunately, just like anything else, there's that small number that get tempted, or it's just the only environment they're in. It's what they know. It's what they've been handed. And they don't want to piss off those guys, or they don't have a place to live, or, what are you going to do? It's pretty scary when you think about it. Right, and then when you get these people yelling and screaming and protesting, drive, baby, drive, doesn't help any. No, it's almost worse than the transgender stuff. You know how the gay people hate that? Well, the immigrants actually hate that stuff too. The aware ones, anyways. Are you an immigrant, or am I an immigrant? I was born here. I was born right up the road, actually. No, I really was. Yeah, right across the bridge there. The hospital used to be over here. Yeah, the old Ballard Center by Hannaford. Well, there's two Hannafords. You know this Hannaford over here. Yeah, by the circle. Yeah, where the old Coney High School used to be. Yeah, over there. Or across from the Big Apple. Yeah, right next to that dentist place. By the tulips. It's by the tulips. Pansies. Anyways. FBI security warning. The FBI has previously issued alerts to local law enforcement regarding potential Iranian covert threats. Right, and they get them to do the things like spike stuff, create distractions, cut off water supply, flood drugs, crash into the towers. Yeah, took care of that for you, huh? Anyways, including the possibility of drone attacks launched from vessels off the U.S. West Coast. Espionage and arms investigations. Federal authorities have made high-profile arrests in the region regarding covert technology shipments and supply networks illicitly linked to Iran's military and nuclear. The Teranglis community. Teranglis. I don't want to offend anybody. Southern California, particularly West Los Angeles, famously known as Triangles, host the largest Iranian diaspora outside of Iran. Many in the community have been actively protesting the Iranian government amidst these border tensions. So, we keep going back decades. Remember Chinatowns? The Asian markets. Bloods, Crips, Toe. Moron. So yeah, there's a bunch of links there. You can go ahead and look up. That one's a good one there. So, yeah, what's Newsom doing anyway? I mean, it's almost like you got Newsom over there and Mills over here. Do they really talk to the public that much? I don't really hear much of what they have to say. I have no idea if they're meat eaters or... I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. They're just fake puppets. They're really just plastic wax people to us. They don't seem to have much of a personality or talk to the public too much. You don't really have to have personality to be a good person. I'm just saying, if you're going to be governor, and maybe you do on the side, and I'm sure a few lobstermen and fucking cycles will say what a good person she is, and she has so much personality, if I'd be around it. Shut the fuck up. We're talking about in general, like the public perception. Yeah, they don't seem to really address the serious issues too much, and they've been making a lot of dangerous mandates with the vaccines and allowing these fucking sick punks to target the non-vaxxers. Yeah, wake the fuck up. And some of these punks have been fucking our kids and feeding child and animal pornography to their activist friends, and that makes a lot of money too. And everybody's covering for each other, and you people better wake the fuck up here in Augusta, Maine. I'm telling you right fucking now. These kids have already been abused for fucking years, and they're hostages in the hands of these punks, and you citizens need to wake the fuck up. And if I were you three, I'd seriously pack your shit and get the fuck out of here. And they got 5 places lined up to be blown to fucking smithereens. I'm not fucking joking. They'll do it. They've followed through with a lot of other things. I'm just saying, this could be one of those places. I don't know. Sayonara, suckers. We're done. We've lived full, beautiful lives. Have at it. Yeah, much love, health, and peace all.